With the recent rise of inflation, everything costs so much more and the ability to save money becomes that much more challenging. Maybe you were able to save a little bit of money before, but food costs, living, gasoline, everything across your life has increased exponentially in price, creating a situation where your savings ability is not there anymore, or maybe it's much less. And I want to help give you some tips and strategies to change that. And maybe you're someone that is just starting out and you've never saved before and you don't know how to save. We're going to create some guidelines for you in this video to help you be a better saver, help you change your mindset, and help putting more money back in your pocket for long-term savings, retirements, homes, cars, trips, whatever it is that gets you going. Obviously, saving money is a big part of being an adult. And whether you're 20 and watching this video or you're 60, saving money has to be ingrained in your everyday life. Because one day you have to retire and you're going to have to save up money for that, or else you're going to be in a very tough position. But also things along the way. You need a home. Whether it's renting a home or buying a home, you need to save up for that. You need to save up for a vehicle. You need to save up for big expenses. Now, again, I get it. I mentioned at the beginning of this video, saving money is a challenge. And a lot of you watching this, you're living paycheck to paycheck. Life's tough. You have a second job. I get that. Now, I want to create a bit of a mindset shift to help you start kind of thinking in the right direction, at the very least, on how to save, how to create that bucket of money for those things that you really want. So there's 3 parts to this video. Part 1 is going to be making saving a priority. And you might say, Adam, I'm already making it a priority. I don't have money, so I can't save. So it doesn't need to be a priority. And what I'm talking about here is small little habits. And maybe it's impulse buying, right? What do you buy on a daily or weekly or monthly basis that you could maybe hold off on? And you'd be surprised how those things add up. Maybe it's candy bar at the store, it's going through the checkout line at the grocery store, little things like that. You're probably spending 20, maybe 50, maybe a few $100s every single month on more impulse buys. Things that they're nice to have, but you don't need them. And you know what would be great if you could take that money and save it for down the road for things you actually want to use, or need, like a trip or a house or whatever it is. So number 1, change that mindset. Start with getting rid of those impulse buys. And I know a few people in my life that have had massive impulse buys. And, it's helped to kind of scale that back. Fortunately, my wife and I, we do online shopping. That's a big change for us. So I encourage you to try online shopping. We use Superstore. We get most of our stuff there. We pay, I think it's $10 a year, and then we get free kind of pickup or whatever it is. But their prices are great, and we avoid that impulse purchasing. And it was never an issue for my wife and I, but for simplicity, we went to online shopping. But it definitely helps with the impulse. So if your problem is impulse buying, try online shopping. Now, another reason you need to make saving a priority is obviously the earlier you start, the better off you're going to be. And you can ingrain those kind of traits in your life from an early age onwards. I know for my kids, we have kind of 3 envelopes. So when they get money, when they earn money, they can put it in the 3 envelopes. And we typically split it up third, which is save, spend, and give. And so we have those 3 envelopes for them. And so they kind of manage those. But again, one of those is save. They're learning to save at a young age. So maybe you're watching this video and you're, Adam, I'm great at saving. Maybe you have kids or grandkids and you need to start instilling this in them and get them to save and see what that is. And show them, look, we've saved up. I know for our kids, we want to go to Disneyland next year. So right now they're saving up for that Disneyland trip. So again, it could be for anything, but start with that priority, make saving a priority. Figure out where that cutout has to be. Again, impulse buying, I know for a lot of you would be it. You can save a fair amount of money on an annual basis just by cutting out that impulse buying. But again, change that mindset to start making it a priority. The last tip on this, if you're having a tough time making it a priority, you say, Adam, I'd rather have that chocolate bar at the candy store than save my $2 for down the road. Set goals, right? Maybe a goal is a trip, maybe it's a house, a car, whatever it is. It could be small, it could be big. Set that goal, have a savings goal, and work backwards from there. So if it's, I want to upgrade my car, and I need $10,000 for that. And I need to do that in 2 years. And work backwards from there. How much do we need to save on a weekly or a monthly basis to do that? And then that will encourage you to, I need to save both that candy bar, but even more than that. So again, typically for me, I know setting goals, write them down, tell people about them. and have that accountability to start saving that money. So the second part is build a savings plan. And I think there's two parts to this. Part one is set those goals. Know what you're saving for. That's going to be more encouraging, more enticing for you to actually start putting that money away. So have some buckets of money that you're saving for. I know in most banks now, you can have banks or credit unions, you can kind of have multi-accounts. So I use Coast Capital, and I can have multi-accounts. So I could have, my travel account and my house account and my car account and my kid. I can have multiple accounts. That's a great way to save. Start putting money into each one. You can even set it up so it automatically takes it out of your main account and puts it into these sub-accounts on a weekly or monthly basis. So that's a great way. So have those goals, know what you need to save to reach those goals, and start saving. And as you set those goals, it's very important to be realistic in those goals. Don't say, I want to buy a house in 3 years and I need $200,000, but you can only save $50 a week. Not going to happen. So make sure you're realistic in your goals, because what's going to happen is you're going to get frustrated and you're just going to pack it in. So make sure your goals are realistic, they're achievable, and then set a timeline that you can meet to get those goals. The second part to that savings plan is more around accounts. It could be an emergency fund. It could be retirement savings. It could be short-term goals like travel. So again, within those goals, you're going to have layers within that. So we always encourage you to start a emergency fund. So your first kind of savings bucket should be, let's build up an emergency fund. And as that hits whatever limit you need it to hit, typically 3 to 6, maybe up to 9 or 12 months of living. I like 6 months. So whatever your expenses are for 6 months, you should be saving that in an emergency fund. So that is part of savings. We need to save up an emergency fund. The second layer of that is more short-term and long-term goals. So retirement or a shorter-term goal like a house trip, whatever it is. So make sure you set up those layers. Now, the third part of this, and we're going to cover this in a few days from now in our fourth video on investing, but where do you save your money? Do you use an RSP, a TFSA, an RESP if you have kids, a non-reg account, a high interest savings account? Like, where do you save that? We're going to cover that in the investing video, because kind of where you save money is important as well. It's how it works, how tax efficiency, all of that comes into play as well. But start creating these layers. Set goals, set realistic goals. Then you want to figure out, are they short or long term? Are they for retirement? Are they shorter term? Kind of create a bit of a grid for this and start allocating money in different directions and start reaching your goals today on your savings plan. So the third piece of this is maximizing your savings. Now, again, you want to start savings, but now let's start maximizing. How do we do that? I mentioned one of them earlier, and that is automate your savings. So if you have some sub-accounts for some of your goals, have an automatic payment come out of your main bank account, which is what your paycheck comes into, that flows into these sub-accounts. That's really going to help automatically save. It's going to be paying yourself first, which we always talk about, you probably read some books about, is pay yourself first, and then the rest is what you live off of. And having those automatic draws out of your main account into sub-accounts is going to be a great help for that. The second way to maximize savings is talk to your employer. They may have some sort of matching RSP or matching TFSA program that you can take a part of. So think about this. If your work has a group RSP, let's say, and they do a matching up to $50 a paycheck, that means that when you save $50, they're saving $50 for you. You're doubling your savings right off the bat. So make sure to check with your employer if they have any type of matching savings program and maximize that. That has to be maximized. All of us want to raise, we want more money, but we often will miss out. Sometimes it's a percentage of income. Save up to 5% of your income and we'll match 5%. And you're only putting in 2 or 3. Find a way to put in 5 to get that full matching from your employer. 2 other ways to maximize your savings, and these are big ones. I save them for the end because I think for most of you, this is what's going to be impactful for you. Number 1 is find a side hustle or ask for a raise. Now, you may go to your boss and ask for a raise, and it just may not be an option. A lot of employers are, being grinded away by inflation, high costs, and all that as well. But ask for a raise. It doesn't hurt. If you haven't asked for a raise in a while, ask for a raise. The second part, and I think this is where the big impact is have a side hustle. Start making some money on the side. When I got in this business, I had a few side hustles that I just did for fun. Woodwork and that kind of stuff. Made a little bit of money, some spending money. Again, I encourage all of you to have a bit of a side hustle. Now, sometimes your side hustle is for fun, but Maybe you have a skill set where you can actually sell your side hustle. Maybe it's a service, maybe it's a product, whatever it is. Figure out where you can make a little bit more money. And I'm not saying like a second job at night flipping burgers. That could be an option, but it's more take your skill set, your knowledge, and start monetizing that in a way. And then take all of that extra income and start shoving it away. I know a lot of people, if you're married, common law partner, a lot of couples I talk to try and live off one income, save the other. It's kind of the same idea, right? You have this like side second income. And if you're an individual, don't have that benefit, then create that side hustle. Start saving that extra side hustle money, and you're going to ramp up that savings so much quicker. The second tip to maximize your savings would be to look at your debt situation. If you have any debt, restructure that. Make sure that you're not paying, credit card debt where you could be rolling that into maybe a mortgage or a consolidation loan or something like that. A lot of you are paying an exponential more amount on your debt payments than you need to be. Review your debt. Maybe you need to talk to a debt consolidation specialist at your bank or institution. You need to figure out your debt situation first. If you're paying, hundreds, some of you are paying thousands of dollars a month to service your debt. That needs to be addressed first, obviously, but make sure that you talk to a professional in that space to figure out how to do that. Again, if you can free up some cash flow, let's say you're paying $300 a month to service your debt, and you can lower your interest rates and restructure and bring it down to $200 and pay it off maybe a bit quicker. So you paid it off quicker and you freed up that $100 that you can now start saving, or maybe you pile it down on your debt if you're at a high interest rate. So again, you want to kind of look at your debt situation as well, but even restructuring it might allow you to save for the future. Maybe you need money for a down payment, because everyone will say, Adam, if you have debt at 10% or even 5%, you'd want to pay that down before you start saving at a few percent. Absolutely true. But here's where one case study might come in that, you want to get into a house. You need a down payment for a home down the road, and you need to save X amount, let's say $20,000 to get into that home, and you have $20,000 of debt. You're probably going to have to create a situation and talk to your mortgage broker on this, because you're probably going to have to continue to service and slowly pay down your debt, but save up that cash. Because typically a mortgage lender will want cash for the down payment and are okay with a bit of debt as long as it's being serviced on the side. So again, tip for you is talk to your mortgage broker about this and see what they require, see what the best course of action is going forward to be best positioned to reach those goals. So there's your 3 tips for savings. And again, savings is kind of boring because a lot of it we don't get benefit. We want the benefit now. We're just a culture that I want it now, I don't want it down the road. But, again, make savings a priority. Very important. Change your mindset, change your habits, start setting goals, make it a priority. The second thing is build a savings plan. Is it short term? Is it long term? Where are you savings? Which again, we'll talk about in a few videos from now, but are you using a TFSA, RSP, all that? We'll walk through that process. And then maximize your savings. A lot of you are missing out on free money, good matching from your employer. You're paying high amounts of debt payment where you don't have to be. And find that side hustle. That side hustle is going to get you further ahead than anything else. So start working on that today.